Good morning. Before Chris Hylwa' talks, I wanted to introduce to you a new member of our faculty. As some of you know, John Bernan and Jean Piacenza in the counseling department will be transitioning out over the course of this semester to new jobs at Newport Academy, which is a residential treatment facility nearby in Bethlehem, Connecticut. So we have covered their hours with a couple of new people, one of whom is with us today, Dr. Jonas Katkovich. I wanted to introduce him to you so you know who he is as you see him around in the halls, in the dining hall, and so that you will feel welcome to talk to him up in the counseling office. He's been in schools working as an administrator and a teacher and a counselor in schools for over 20 years. He knows Taft well because his son, Jack Katkovich, was in the class of 2012. Most recently, Dr. Katkovich has had a private practice in Farmington, and I hope you will all welcome him to Taft. So, Dr. Katkovich.
Thanks very much. I don't usually talk to groups this big. It's usually like one other person in private practice. But I was with my son Jack last night. He's back from college still on break, a very lengthy break. And I said, Jack, I'm going to be speaking at Taft's student meeting tomorrow morning. What do you think I should say? And he just said, Dad, just keep it short. Don't waste anybody's time with like long-winded, kind of like lovely things to say. So I will keep it short. I'll just say that it's really a pleasure to be here. I'm thrilled to get a chance to see Taft kind of from the inside out in a way, not as a parent anymore, but really just being on the ground. I will be here on Tuesdays and Thursdays until the end of the year, so please head on up just to say hi, or if there are students out there that maybe still know, who knew Jack or knew me from being on campus, did the parent thing, went to a lot of sporting events and things like that. But please feel free to say hi, stop in. If I don't remember you, I apologize, but do remind me. And it's been, I'm looking forward to a great semester. So thanks very much.
Oh boy. Okay. Hello, my name is Chris Hylwa', and I'm a senior at Taft. I know, right? It's amazing. This is not the speech that I intended to write. When I first started thinking about this speech, I had to wonder exactly how I was going to pull it off. So I wrote a bunch of little speeches instead, hoping that one of them would parse itself out to be the big one I could use today, to thundering applause. You didn't have to do that. That wasn't funny. All right. I also thought that I would write at least 15 or more obscure references to things no one cares about. I have 3. Sometimes not much changes. So instead, I compromised with myself and came up with a new way to bring the speech together, and still trying to do something a little bit new. So at certain points, I'm going to ask you all to make a decision on how this speech will play out. I will give you a decision of hearing one story or another story. You just raise your hand for whichever story you want. It sounds trite. Believe me, it is trite. You will only hear those stories. There are 6. You will only hear 3. The rest will be lost to the ether, and no one will ever see them again. So, the stories are here. I leave them with you. Let's begin. Who wants story number 1? Story number 2. Right then, story number 2. Here we go. When I first realized that senior speeches existed way back in my freshman year, I automatically came up with my own ideas about how I would do mine. In those days, I was going to be that capital A artistic speech about the true meaning of life, learning, and the pursuit of happiness. Yeah, no. But there's more to a senior speech than that. And senior speeches should reflect the person giving them, which is what I'm trying to do. How they've grown, matured, lived, laughed, and learned, and how they've come to recognize themselves. Since then, I've recognized that there are also only a few different types of speeches that everyone uses, with the occasional twist. For me, I decided to take a harder road in order to achieve expression, taking a risk in making my speech unique, which may or may not work out in the end. I ended up finishing this speech last night because some of the first drafts have some interesting stories. One of them was going to be a beat poem, one of them was going to be film noir styled, and the last one was a self-deprecating and somewhat depressing view of a world gone mad. Don't worry, it's not as sad as it sounds, but it's pretty darn close. None of those are here. What is here, though, is something that represents me, and that's what really counts. Do we want to continue this speech about movies or about games? Movies? Let's see, movies. Ooh, a lot of movies. Games. Wow, everybody likes option 2 these days. All right, moving on. Oh, by the way. So anyone remember when I actually had a club on interactive media? Well, that's more than I expected. So, since then I've grown up, and though I still have a passion for games and other sorts of media, I've also come to realize when a project is simply too big to be reasonable. And so I use that knowledge to make this speech today. Games in particular have had a lot of influence over my life at Taft, and not always for the better, admittedly, but it's still important. I remember playing Monopoly with friends on Friday nights, and one of them flipping the table in C-130 when you could still flip the table in C-130. It's been fun, and I've grown a lot closer to those friends because of it. That's really what's at the heart of games, though, connection. Whether it's you connecting with friends over multiplayer, or with strangers over random matches, or just connecting with your player in a grand story, there's a web of interpersonal activity in that sphere. And in there, sometimes you can find your own story too, a shard of mirror that you can see yourself in. Like any art or media form, the best works engage you and make you think. And I've found a small piece of my identity in playing them, creating them, and understanding them. I don't think I'd be up here today without them. All right. Would you like some advice from me or from someone else? From me. Yeah. And from someone else? No. Okay, fine. It was a good part of the speech, too. The joke is they're all good. In my time here at Taft, I've learned a lot about myself, and I've gathered a lot of good advice from personal experience, some more pleasant experiences than others. So I want to give a few pieces of advice to everyone. Firstly, take risks. Roll the dice. Sometimes you Yahtzee and win the game, and sometimes you roll a 1 and end up kicking a tree. But it doesn't matter so long as you roll in the first place. And that's something I had to grow into a little bit. It's not an easy prospect to take risks. Taking risks means that you're going to be out doing something that could hurt, but it could also be the greatest thing you've ever decided to do in your life. I'm still working on this, and I think I'll keep working on this throughout my entire life. But every time I do take a risk, it's always well worth it, whether for the experience itself or just the fun of having done it. Don't be afraid to be yourself. It's far too easy to get trapped in trying to ignore your flaws and quirks and end up trying too hard to please everyone, which is impossible. Sit back, relax. You are unique just like everyone else, and that's a good thing. Oh, that's an awful joke. You are important. The main character of your own story. Treasure yourself. Be thankful for it. Finally, if you have a goal right now, and this is everyone, if you want to be an artist, a musician, a biomedical engineer, keep working towards that mountain. It seems daunting at first. You have thousands of feet to climb, and you have a long way to go, especially for you freshmen. But when you reach the first plateau, you realize you can keep going, and you will keep going. Maybe it'll work out in the end. I think it will. Keep climbing. And so, we've come to the end. However we've come here, whatever paths we've taken, there are still mysteries to be found and things to be seen. What you have heard today is only half of a tale, maybe small, maybe large, and that I've experienced here at Taft, and only an infinitesimal fraction of what is possible in the world. So go, be wise, because the world needs more wisdom, and if you can't be wise, imagine you are someone who is wise and act as they would. I want to thank all of you. Really, you actually made this speech possible. And I want to give special thanks to all the people who supported me throughout my career at Taft. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Seniors, we're almost done. It's the beginning of the winter term. You're halfway done. You're halfway there. And so, hold it. Let me be sentimental for a minute. And so I want to end with a short quote from a book. Pretty funny book, most of the time. It's by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. It's called Good Omens, and it reads like this. Something told him that something was coming to an end. Not the world exactly, just the summer. There would be other summers, but there would never be one like this, ever again. Better make the most of it then. Seniors, everyone, there will never be a year, there will never be a season, there will never be a moment that's quite like this in the entirety of history, ever again. Let's make the most of it. Thank you.